Chair Wiggum, Vice Chair John, Ranking Member Kelly, and members of the committee. My name is Roger Gibb. I've lived in Mason, Ohio for the last 23 years. My wife and I have 5 children. I am a clinical statistician. I work for the Procter & Gamble Company in their healthcare research division. Thomas Jefferson famously said, "When the people fear the government, that's tyranny. When the government fears the people, that's freedom." Right now, I personally fear what I see the federal government doing. The federal government's alarming behavior can be grouped under 3 general headings. First, fiscal irresponsibility. The federal government is now $29 trillion in debt and has about $150 trillion in unfunded liabilities. The federal government has not held itself to a balanced budget in at least 20 years. The President of the United States and members of Congress, for the most part, seem completely detached from financial reality, and they seem oblivious to the concept that money is not free. If ordinary citizens were to manage their budget the way that the federal government does, we would all be bankrupt, okay? I fear the federal government's fiscal recklessness and the crushing consequences that will eventually fall on me, my family, my grandchildren, and this country. Second, federal overreach. Our country was founded on principles of limited government and separation of powers to prevent the concentration of too much power in any one person or one body. However, today our President and Congress exercise power not granted in the Constitution that were never intended by the framers of our Constitution. For example, dictating what is taught in public schools, including transgender use of bathrooms, prohibiting the mining and burning of coal, forcing citizens to be vaccinated or risk losing the opportunity to be employed and to provide for their families. The majority party in Congress right now is threatening to federalize the electoral system and eliminate time-tested, pragmatic safeguards for protecting election integrity. I fear how the federal government is growing ever larger and stronger, and how it imposes its will on the American people, again with power it was never granted in the Constitution. Third, corrupt career politicians. Throughout the 19th century, few members of Congress sought re-election, and the turnover rate with every election cycle was about 50%. However, in the 21st century, the turnover rate has only been about 15%, which explains why many members of Congress have been there for 20, 30, and even 40 years. That's too long. Power corrupts, and when it comes to Congress, time in office translates into power. Even a casual observer cannot deny that our Congress is rife with corruption. I fear how career politicians have corrupted our federal government. Now, I support the Convention of States movement because it gives me hope. It gives me hope that we can rein in our out-of-control federal government. It will empower the states to propose and ratify amendments to the Constitution that require the federal government to be fiscally responsible. Think about a balanced budget amendment. Ohio has a balanced budget amendment. Our country should have a balanced budget amendment. Rebuff the federal government's overreach and return power to the states, to the we the people where it belongs. And finally, impose term limits on Congress to send the professional politicians home. I return to the statement of Thomas Jefferson. When the people fear the government, that's tyranny. When the government fears the people, that's freedom. By and large, fear is on the lips of the people of Ohio when they speak about what the federal government's doing right now. You and your colleagues in the General Assembly now have the power, with other state legislatures across this country, to reverse the downward trajectory of American history. By supporting HJR 1, you will enable Ohio to help invoke an Article 5 Convention of the States to strengthen our Constitution, save our country, and restore the hope of the American people. Please support HJR 1. Thank you.